Okay, this time we're going to tackle about the or discuss about the tuberculosis. And we all know that this tuberculosis is the one of the most serious illness that the some people encountered, that make them suffer, that make them that make their life worse, unable for them to move freely because of their disease that they are carrying. So when we say tuberculosis, it is an infectious disease that can cause infection in your lungs or in the other tissues in our body. It is commonly affects our lungs. So, but not all, but not the only not only the lungs are affected, but but it also affect the other organs like our spine, our brain, or our kidneys. When we say the word tuberculosis comes from a Latin word of the nodule, or something that sticks out. So um, this tuberculosis is the was one of the most um, serious, just like what I said, one of the most serious illness that spread around the world. So next is the structure of the pathogen, or the structure of the tuberculosis. So the cell is enveloped with the MTB, comprises from four main layers. First is the plasma membrane, or the inner membrane. Second is the peptidoglycan, or ARA, peptidoglycan arabinogalactan complex, or the AGP. The third is the asymmetrical outer membrane, or the mycomembrane, that is covalently linked to AGP through the mycolic acids. And the fourth one is the external capsule. So the next slide is we will see the structure of the pathogen. Next is the here's the structure of the pathogen. As you can see, the first image, the body of a human, the bacteria present in the lungs. So you can see the different parts of the bacteria. That's why they called it the tuberculosis, and it caused by bacteria, because it comes from the word Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And this my TB, and TB is caused by the bacterium called the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and this bacteria usually attacks the lungs. So next, is it clear, the structure? That's why that's why it looks like the structure of the bacteria, because it is present in the it is present, or it is the one responsible who attacks the lungs. So that's bacteria. So the reported cases. So we are only here in the Philippines, we are only one of the 8 countries that account for the 2/3 of the estimated global cases. The Philippines is also the fourth largest contributor of TB cases, at 7% of the global total. So that's how big, or that's how tuberculosis serious illness. That's why they call it the one of the most serious illness that spread around the world. So we Filipinos, we're the most contributor of the TB cases in around the world. So for every 100,000 Filipinos, an estimated 650 individuals were infected with TB in 2021. So a huge difference from our 554 per 100,000 from the year prior. So that's how large the case of the TB or the tuberculosis cases. So the TB incidence is predicted increase by 130% and TB deaths by 170%. Oh, so imagine that's how TB seriously that's how serious that's how tuberculosis is so dangerous. It kills a lot of people. It infect a lot of people. So next is the transmission, how TB transfer, or how TB spread around the world, how transfer to other people. That here TB is spread through the air from one person, so one person to another. So when we say air, spread to the air, it is airborne. So TB germs are passed through the air when someone who is sick with TB disease of the lungs or throat cough, speaks, laugh, sings or sneeze. So also they're the same with COVID-19 through speaking, coughing, sneezing, laughing, singing, and every types of even the regular breathing. So anyone near the sick person with TB disease can breathe the TB germs into their lungs, because it is airborne. So if you inhale the air, the person infected is, you can also infected with this kind of disease. So that's how serious TB, how seriously damage our life, how seriously affect our life. So next is the causes of tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is an infectious disease that most often affect lungs, and TB is caused by a type of bacteria, and it spreads through the air when infected people cough, sneeze, or spit. Just what I told earlier, that this TB is caused by a bacteria, and this bacteria name or called the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So it is caused by Mycobacterium, by a bacteria. So that's how tuberculosis caused. So next po, the symptoms of tuberculosis. Here, as you can see, the different factors that, or the different sample that the common symptoms of tuberculosis. First, the prolonged cough. When we say prolonged cough, ito po yung sobrang haba ng pag-uubo natin, yung matagalang pag-uubo. So that's why they call it a prolonged cough. When you have a very long cough that you are encountering, it might lead to tuberculosis. It might that you might have a infected, or you might infected by this kind of bacteria. So next is the chest pain. When you feel chest pain, when you feel weakness, when you feel fatigue, when you feel when your body weight loss, when you feel fever or cold, when you feel chills, and even night sweat. So those are the common symptoms of the tuberculosis. So next po, here's the diagnosis of the tuberculosis. So here we can see there are two kinds of tests used to detect the TB bacteria in the body. So first, the TB skin test, or the TST. TST means the tuberculin skin test. So when we say TST, it is performed by injecting 0.1 of tuberculin purified derivative, or the PPD, here in the inner surface of our forearm. So that is the process of the TB skin test or the TST. You can get the result after 2 to 3 days, 48 to 72 hours. So it takes so long. So next is the next kind of test is the TB blood test. From the word itself, the blood test is they going to get some of your blood sample, and they going to research it. They're going to put in the lab to know the if you are infected of this kind of disease. So TB bacteria, it does not tell whether the person has latent TB infection or the LTBI or has a progress to disease. So when we say latent, it is hidden or not obvious. For to get more to get better explanation is when we say latent, TB germs are in your body, but it's like germs are sleeping. That's what latent means, sleeping. We can say that you are infected because it is latent, it is hidden or sleeping. This cannot hurt you, or it will not spread also. So but when the TB germs become active, they can make you sick. So that's how LTBI occur or do. So next is the treatment prevention for the tuberculosis. So here's the common things that we need to do. First is the washing of your hands. It's common. Coughing in your elbow, it's like this, covering your mouth. You can also use your towel, but be better not left it everywhere to avoid the spread of that bacteria. So you better keep it in your own. Tapos, and then when you're coughing, just cover like this one. Tapos avoid close contact with other. If you know that you are infected, you better keep yourself away from other to prevent the spread of that kind of that disease or that bacteria. So making sure you take all of your medication correctly. So in order to prevent that bacteria spread, is you need to take properly your medication. You need to follow the doctor's medication. Take your medicine properly. Follow the rules of the doctor's prescription also. So next is not returning to work or school until you've been cleared by your health provider. So you need to recover first before returning to your work to avoid to prevent the spread of the bacteria. So to avoid also the contact with the other, to avoid spreading the bacteria to other people. So next is the available vaccination. So here in the tuberculosis, currently the only available vaccine for tuberculosis prevention is the Bacillus calmette-guerin or the BCG. However, the BCG demonstrates the limited efficacy and particularly in adults. So that's how tuberculosis, the vaccine are limited. So they provide only one vaccine to prevent the spread and to kill to fight the tuberculosis or the spread of the bacteria to the other people around the world. So that's are the available vaccination. That's all for my part, and thank you.
Good day, my name is Janalyn Mingaracal, and let's proceed to influenza. Influenza or flu is a highly contagious viral infection of the respiratory tract that can cause severe illness and life-threatening complications, including pneumonia. It affects people of all ages. The flu is usually spread by breathing in droplets from coughs and sneezes that contain the virus. And let's talk about structure of pathogen. The influenza virus is a member of the Artomyxoviridae family. It is a negative sense single-stranded RNA virus, meaning its genetic material is RNA or ribonucleic acid, and it cannot be directly translated by host cells without first being converted into a complementary form. The virus is enveloped, meaning it is surrounded by a lipid membrane derived from the host cell, which contains various viral proteins, including hemagglutinin and neuraminidase, important for viral entry and release. The virus also contains a helical nucleocapsid core, which houses the viral RNA genome and associated proteins. Reported cases up to date. Data from the Department of Health in Central Visayas show that these summer diseases logged the highest number of cases in the region from March 1 to April 8, 2024. Influenza-like illness with 535 cases. Transmission of influenza. Influenza, commonly known as the flu, spreads primarily through respiratory droplets when an infected person talks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouth or noses of people who are nearby or possibly be inhaled into the lungs. It's also possible to get the flu by touching a surface or object that has the flu virus on it, and then touching one's own mouth, nose, or possibly eyes. Causes. Influenza is caused by viruses. These viruses travel through the air in droplets when someone with the infection coughs, sneezes, or talks. You can inhale the droplets directly, or you can pick up the germs from touching an object, such as a computer keyboard, and then touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. So let's talk about symptoms of influenza. The symptoms of influenza are fever or feeling feverish or chills, cough, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, muscle or body aches, headaches, fatigue or tiredness. Some people may have vomiting and diarrhea, though this is more common in children than adults. Diagnosis. These tests include reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction, or RT-PCR, viral culture, and immunofluorescence assays. All of these tests require that a healthcare provider swipe the inside of your nose or the back of your throat with a swab and then send the swab for testing. Treatment prevention. The single best way to reduce the risk of seasonal flu and its potentially serious complications is to get vaccinated each year. But preventive actions like avoiding people who are sick, covering your cough, and washing your hands also can help stop the spread of germs and prevent respiratory illnesses like flu. Before treatment, the result of influenza could vary greatly depending on the individual's immune system, age, overall health, and the specific strain of the virus. In general, symptoms of influenza can include fever, body aches, fatigue, cough, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, and sometimes vomiting and diarrhea. Without prompt and appropriate treatment, influenza can lead to complications such as pneumonia, bronchitis, sinus infections, and severe cases, even death, especially among vulnerable populations such as the elderly, young children, and those with weakened immune systems. After treatment, the result of influenza is typically much improve. Antiviral medications such as oseltamivir, Tamiflu, or zanamivir, Relenza, can help reduce the severity and duration of symptoms if taken early in the course of the illness. This medication can shorten the duration of illness by about a day and may also reduce the risk of complications. However, even without antiviral treatment, most people recover from influenza within a week or two with rest, fluids, and symptom management. It's important to seek medical attention if symptoms worsen or if there are signs of complication. So here's the available vaccination. Aflorix quadrivalent, Flulaval quadrivalent, and Fluzone quadrivalent. Now let's talk about SARS, or Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome. SARS is a viral respiratory illness caused by the SARS coronavirus, or SARS-CoV. It first emerged in 2002 to 2003 in southern China and spread to over 24 countries. The outbreak was contained by strict public health measures. Structure of pathogen. The SARS coronavirus is an enveloped, positive-sense, single-stranded RNA virus. It belongs to the Coronaviridae family and is classified within the genus Betacoronavirus. The virus has a crown-like appearance under electron microscopy due to the spike proteins protruding from its surface, which facilitate its attachment to host cells. Transmission. The SARS virus is spread when an infected person coughs or sneezes, and respiratory droplets are propelled through the air and deposited on persons or nearby surfaces. Causes. SARS, or Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, is caused by a coronavirus called SARS-CoV. It likely originated in bats and then spread to humans, possibly through intermediary animals like civet cats. Close contact with infected individuals or respiratory droplets from coughs and sneezes can transmit the virus. Symptoms. SARS usually begins with flu-like signs and symptoms: fever, chills, muscle aches, headache, and occasionally diarrhea. After about a week, signs and symptoms include fever, 38 Celsius or higher, dry cough, shortness of breath. Diagnosis. When severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS, first surfaced, no specific tests were available. Now, several laboratory tests can help detect the virus, but no known transmission of SARS has occurred anywhere in the world since 2004. Treatment prevention. The treatment for SARS, or Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, typically involves supportive care such as rest, fluids, and medications to relieve symptoms. Prevention strategies include practicing good hand hygiene, wearing masks, avoiding close contact with sick individuals, and implementing travel restrictions in affected areas. Additionally, efforts to contain outbreaks and develop vaccines are crucial in preventing future SARS outbreaks. Before specific treatment were available for SARS, the outcomes varied significantly. Many patients required hospitalization due to severe respiratory symptoms, and some experienced complications such as pneumonia or respiratory failure. The mortality rate during the 2002 to 2003 outbreak was estimated to be around 10%, but it varied depending on factors such as age and overall health. Additionally, efforts to contain the spread of the virus through isolation and quarantine measures were crucial in reducing the impact of the outbreak. After result, with the development of more effective treatments and supportive care measures, the outcomes for SARS patients improved significantly through subsequent outbreaks and cases. Patients who received prompt medical attention and appropriate treatment had a higher chance of recovery. The mortality rate decreased and many patients were able to recover fully from the illness with proper medical care, including respiratory support, antiviral medications, and other supportive measures. However, long-term health complications may still occur in some cases, especially among those who experience severe illness. So for SARS, there is no available vaccine. That's all. Thank you.